In today's video, I'm going to share some intriguing geopolitical updates that could lead to the next XRP super surge. If these developments materialize, I believe they will have a huge impact on the markets. We'll go over the situation in Ukraine and Russia, and how the resolution of that conflict, along with the conclusion of the court case, could trigger a huge surge for XRP. XXXX. This is a great place to be right now because there is a plethora of positive momentum and exciting developments surrounding XRP. I'll begin by discussing the upcoming week of February, which is going to be quite eventful and significant, because it is when we will finally receive the PCE inflation data for January. If inflation turns out to be lower than expected, we may look forward to another rate cut, which is why this is so important. Now, if it's slightly higher than anticipated, we'll likely maintain current interest rates, which won't significantly impact the market. However, if it's lower, prices will indeed be able to rise due to increased public liquidity, which is something that I think we can all agree is very exciting. We can also see that January new house sales data is soon to be available. Recent trends indicate that home sales have been declining, which is typically an indication of an economy beginning to slow down. Home sales typically begin to fall, and the Federal Reserve typically responds by lowering interest rates to encourage more home sales. On Tuesday, we will see the CB consumer confidence data, which will essentially tell us how the average consumer is currently feeling, how heavy the economy is on them, how much debt they have, how strong the economy is, etc. I can't wait to hear all of this information. Furthermore, we will learn the true direction of the tech sector from Nvidia's earnings release, which will have significant influence on cryptocurrencies once again. Now, before we get further into that, I would like to address the Russia-Ukraine war. This will also have a significant impact on the markets. Typically, whenever a major conflict breaks out, like the one between Russia and Ukraine, the markets experience a temporary dip. However, once the conflict begins, the markets usually recover within a few weeks and resume their normal trading patterns. Now, here's the thing. The post-war rallies for the stock market and crypto market, which are being discussed more now that we've discovered them, are actually quite significant. When investors have more certainty, the technology sector, including cryptocurrencies, tends to do well. You know, of course, having a global conflict or a conflict involving multiple countries, it does bring a lot of uncertainty to the markets, and so it makes a lot of sense that investors, whether that be large hedge funds or whether that be retail like you and me, would be a little bit more hesitant to dump all of their money into a more risky asset class, which is cryptocurrency. Let's face it, it's more risky. But in the event that the war ends, and we have a lot more certainty, well, people are a lot more willing to take risks, and so I believe that we're going to get some big news here. We can see number 1, Ukrainian President Zelensky has been doing a number of different interviews. First thing he said was, $100 billion given by the US government was a grant, and not a loan, kind of just signaling that they're not going to repay it, which is not going to go over too well. Now what's going to happen is, the US administration under Trump is definitely going to be pressuring Zelensky to resign, and furthermore, we're also seeing that Ukrainian President Zelensky is saying he's ready to resign from Presidency for Peace, or Ukraine's accession to NATO, so I mean this is really important. He's ready to resign from Presidency for Peace, to end the conflict with Russia. This is something that undoubtedly would allow Vladimir Putin to end the war right away. He said on multiple occasions, this is all that he really wants. And so Zelensky stepping down, peace talks happening now between Trump and Putin, everyone's saying that they're on the talking board, they're willing to, resolve this conflict right away, and everyone's fully committed to doing so, and this is really good news, because like I was saying before, nobody likes wars. We want this war to end, that would be great. We want peace talks, we want this to all go over, no more meaningless deaths, that does not need to happen anymore, right? And two, markets, they will boom again. I think this is a very high probability. I've done a lot of research on basically how the stock market and crypto markets are affected, and we can see from the start of World War II in 1939, until it ended in 1945, the Dow Jones was actually up a total of 50%, which was a pretty substantial rally. But what a lot of people don't talk about is kind of the golden era that the United States went through after 1945. The United States was established as the world reserve currency following World War II, and it was the strongest economy in the world. And the growth of that the Dow Jones went through, and later on the S&P 500, while the US was just innovating technologically at a massive scale, was enormous. It was a lot more than 50%. it absolutely exploded in growth, and it was a phenomenal time for anyone involved in the investment world. And I don't think this is going to be very much. I think that, the United States still has, it's still positioned as the world reserve currency #1 for 2. They actually have a lot to gain from the end of this war. They're probably going to be getting a lot of land, and this is going to be good for a lot of institutions who will now have a lot of more money to invest in the technology stocks. And I do think that XRP is going to be one of the top gainers considering it is a US company. I mean, right now we can see that XRP is indeed trading at about $2.54 per coin, and I'm here to tell you guys that I think due to one other factor, XRP will be trading above $4 very soon. Now what is this other thing? We are all aware that the Ripple case could end at any moment. It has been ongoing for 4 years, and now the SEC has promised to end the Coinbase case, while simultaneously bringing other crypto cases. No one knows exactly when this will happen, because we aren't invited to these private meetings. But here's what we do know. Some have speculated about the short-term potential price of XRP if the Ripple case is resolved and the market reacts differently than it did when the case was first filed. I think this is a very reasonable perspective, and I believe that XRP was clearly subjected to a great deal of fear when the However, what was the size of the drop? Now, let's begin with the current price of XRP. I just showed you guys that it was 50 cents when the SEC sued Ripple on December 22, 2020, claiming that XRP was an unregistered security. The market reacted sharply, and by December 29, XRP had dropped to 17 cents per coin, a 66% decline. Now let's imagine the market reacts in the opposite direction with a 66% increase. XRP's current price is somewhere around $2.54. We're just gonna say $2.50, just to be, a little bit conservative here. A 66% increase would equal $4.15 per coin in the event that case is thrown out. If we can see that same level of volume, and guys, I want to be very clear, I think that there's a pretty good reasonable possibility that at the very least we're gonna shoot past $3, and a $4 price target is not at all unrealistic, when you also factor in a lot of the other things that are going on. So in this scenario, if the market mirrors its initial reaction in reverse, XRP could climb to $4.15, right? And you also, if you look at like the Russia-Ukraine war ending, you look at, just how integrated XRP is into the American economy, and how pro-XRP Trump really is, I think it becomes abundantly clear to everyone involved that there is a lot of upside to XRP right now. And I think you'd be absolutely insane not to want to hold any XRP at this time. There's just so much positive potential surprise announcements that can come through at any given moment, which we know will positively affect XRP to a varying degree depending on what announcement it is, but nonetheless, yeah, I think a $4 XRP is most definitely in the cards, and it's something that can happen very soon, and you don't want to miss it. Now with that being said, I want to share a message here from none other than David Schwartz, because he does have some really interesting things to say here in this interview, and it kind of what they're really looking to build. Take note. The size of payments is going to decrease, significantly decrease, which is one of the things I anticipate and believe is necessary. I assume that most of you have jobs and receive paychecks every 2 weeks or once a month. I'm curious as to why that is. Probably once a month is when you pay your bills. If so, why is that? It's because payments are cumbersome and expensive. If payments were simple and inexpensive, the frequency of those payments might be increased. Imagine having money streamed at you while you work, or having money streamed to your landlord to cover the cost of your rent. Now, I get that those sound silly, and to be honest they are. If we were having this conversation in the late 90s about email, I doubt I would have been able to give you the examples that are common now. For example, everyone probably has a cell phone, which means they probably have email on it, and probably have hundreds of messages that don't resemble postal mail or messaging from that era. I had no idea about any of that. In the year 2000, I would have assured you that there was more than enough bandwidth on the internet, Netflix, and on-demand video. How could I have anticipated that? The internet drove the cost of bandwidth down to zero, which is absurd. If the cost of payments goes down to zero, the world will change, and I'll discuss some of the ways that I think that's likely to happen. No doubt about that. I think that's the ideal world for me would be one in which centralized institutions are essentially abolished, and payment delays are completely eliminated. The ease of access that this will provide is something else that David Schwartz largely ignores in this piece. If things continue as they are, centralized banks will continue to make money off of your savings. They are only required to keep 10% of your deposit on hand, due to fractional reserve banking. they can invest or do anything they wish with the remaining funds. Depending on the amount you have in that account, they may easily take it and use it to finance someone else's mortgage, resulting in them making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars using your money. Take a moment to fully absorb that. Their money is losing value while theirs is increasing in value due to the creation of more money. You are the lone beneficiary of that flawed system, which benefits the affluent elite who own the bank. Bitcoin, however, provides a decentralized method for doing just that.